What's going on, YouTube? My name is Nick Rose, and today we have another topic to talk about. Just a disclaimer, before I even get into this, in no way, shape, or form do I condone abuse towards women, women towards men, men towards men, verbal abuse, mental abuse, physical abuse. I do not condone any of it. Okay, so keep that in mind while you watch this. Let's get right into it. The other day, this week, Chris Brown finally sat down and gave an interview about Rihanna and came totally clean. Before we get into that, let's talk about Chris Brown's early career. He was a shining star. He was 16 years old and he was already on top of the world. He's a multi-platinum selling artist. He's done VMA and Grammy performances. So, Chris Brown has had one of the best careers you could possibly have. Back in 2008, Chris Brown started dating Rihanna. Now, the rumor is that they had been flirting and kind of dating for 3 years prior to that, but that's when they officially started dating. Chris Brown was 19 years old, Rihanna was 20. And it was a very public relationship. It was big news. You know, you have two of the biggest pop stars in the entire world dating now. It's a power couple like Kanye and Kim or Jay-Z and Beyonce. There was a lot of paparazzi, a lot of pressure. You know, they couldn't even go out to dinner and have a good time without having 1,000 fans out front of the restaurant and paparazzis everywhere, you know, TMZ, whatever. When they first started dating, Rihanna asked Chris Brown if he had slept with a particular woman. He never stated the woman's name or who exactly that she was, but he lied and said no. So now they're dating for a little while, and Chris Brown is about to propose to Rihanna. But before he does that, he comes to her and he says, listen, I want to be real with you about everything. If you have any questions or any insecurities left unanswered, then tell me now. Ask me. Ask away. Again, she asks about the same woman that she asked about when they had started dating. He said, yeah, you know what? I lied. I actually did sleep with her. It was nothing. We haven't talked, whatever. But because he kept that lie going for so long, she lost her trust in him. That was kind of it. That's when the relationship really went downhill. So from there, they started getting into very severe, very serious fights. They were verbal. They were physical. And it was from both sides. She would hit him, he would hit her, whatever. Now we get to 2009, and this is the year of the assault. The night of, they both drank alcohol, so they were a little bit intoxicated, and Rihanna sees his phone. And she sees a text from another woman, and it says, I'll see you at the after party. He said at some point what the after party was in regards to. I think it was something with the Grammys. I don't exactly remember, to be honest with you. So back to it. Chris Brown says that the text didn't mean anything. She wasn't anything to him. And Rihanna's reaction is to actually start hitting him. She was hitting the guy, which was because she did not believe that he was telling the truth. She thought he was lying, and she couldn't handle that. She had insecurity issues. She had trust issues, obviously. After she started hitting him, eventually he got fed up and he hit her back. Then Rihanna responded by spitting in his face. Now, I don't care who you are or who is doing it, but spitting in someone's face is the utmost disrespect. That is the biggest FU that you could give to another person. Now, she tries taking his phone again. She wants to look through it more, and he's refusing her. Probably for good reason. First of all, that is his privacy, and she is trying to invade his privacy now. Even if he didn't have anything to hide, it's kind of the point that she shouldn't be doing that. If you can't trust someone, don't be with them. Very simple. There is no relationship without trust. Her reaction to his refusal is to grab his groin and squeeze his nuts. From there, he bit her in her elbow because she grabbed his nuts. I mean, what would you do if you were a guy? I can tell you from experience, that is really painful. So Chris Brown, he's in the car at this point, he's driving, and he pulls over so that they could talk to each other. After he pulls over, Rihanna takes the keys to the Ferrari, I think, and she pretends to throw them out the window. Instead of doing that, she was actually just sitting on them, but Chris at the time didn't know this. He gets out of the car and he's looking for the keys, and a man walks by, and Rihanna's yelling out of the car, "Help, help, he's trying to kill me, this guy's trying to kill me." She's screaming, she's belligerent, and then she takes his CDs. Back at that point in time, they didn't have smartphones the way that we have, they didn't have flash storage the way that we have, so they would take unreleased music, these artists, and they would actually put the music onto CDs. That's how they would keep them. She took CDs with his music, unreleased music that he had no other copies of, and took the keys from under her and started scratching the CDs. That was kind of it. In that process, he busted up her lip. I mean, you've seen the pictures. I'll show you one right now. She was kind of messed up, and obviously, he wasn't nearly as bad. But a few months after this, Rihanna goes on to ABC News, and she finally opens up about the whole Chris Brown assault. In this interview, she essentially makes Chris out to be a monster, and she entirely makes herself a victim. She takes no fault in any of this. And of course, just like any scenario, like recently with Ezekiel Elliott, where the woman accused him of assaulting her and it turned out that she was actually lying, he could have lost everything, his whole NFL career, whatever. And essentially, not saying that that's what happened in this case with Chris Brown and Rihanna, but my point is that people always believe the woman. So no matter what Chris said at that point in time, maybe even if he showed evidence, they would believe Rihanna over him. Very simple. That's just the way things are. People believe that because women are naturally weaker and have less muscle mass than men, that they are not capable of hurting a man, which is obviously untrue. I mean, you go on ID channel and you see women who kill their husbands all the time. After the interview, things start to quiet down a little bit, and Rihanna starts dating Drake the same year that her and Chris Brown broke up and he assaulted her and whatever. Chris waits 2 years to get into a relationship. Now, one thing that we know from watching interviews with him and whatever, he still loves Rihanna. She was the love of his life, so that's to be expected. Chris starts dating Karushay Tran. She's a model, whatever. They also have a rocky relationship. They were very back and forth, but they break up at some point, and Rihanna starts dating him again. Yeah. Like, what? What? She went on ABC News and made herself a victim, and then she started dating him. Why? Why? That's kind of suspect, if you ask me. Obviously, she was not as traumatized as she made us believe back in 2009 when the assault happened. My problem with this is that this incident really destroyed Chris Brown's career. I mean, he was squeaky clean prior to this. He had it all, and he was going to continue to have it all until this happened. This messed up everything for him. Ever since then, he has been in a very steady and fast downward spiral. But we can't deny that this was his own fault. Like I said in the beginning of the video, no matter what had transpired, he should never hit a woman. That is just common knowledge. You go up to almost any man, and that will be their way of thinking. You go up to any woman, and they'll think the same way, except a couple feminazis, whatever. But that is the general consensus. A man does not hit a woman ever under any circumstances, and it should have applied to this situation as well. So I'm not saying he's right for that, because he is very, very wrong. So now his career's going downhill, and he starts running into all sorts of legal issues. Since 2009, he's had multiple assault allegations. He, at some point, was sentenced to 90 days in an anger management facility. He's been kicked out of multiple rehabs. He got 5 years of probation just from the Rihanna incident alone. So obviously he has had a ton of problems. In 2016, he had a standoff with police that lasted the entire day. Earlier that day, a woman had called the cops and said that Chris held a gun to her face and threatened her life. So the cops came and he wouldn't get out of the house. They were in an all-day standoff. Eventually, things were concluded. Of course, it's the cops. Although this doesn't excuse his behavior, like I've said multiple times already, this does all stem from the Rihanna incident. prior to this, he didn't have these issues. It could be possible that he was so young and got so rich, so famous, so powerful so quickly that it got to him. We see it all the time. Look at what just happened with Aaron Carter. We see it happen. Macaulay Culkin, guys like that. He wasn't a child star like they were, but he was 16. He was a kid. He was 15 when he started getting famous. So that gets to someone. That could really mess them up, especially when they don't have proper guidance in their lives. But the rest of those issues aren't really the point. Today, I just want to focus on Chris Brown and Rihanna, the 2009 assault, and the dynamic of their relationship. It's August 2017, and just 2 weeks ago, Chris Brown finally came clean. He did an interview, and he told us everything, or so he says. But his image and his career are already tarnished. No matter what he says, no matter what he does, nothing will ever, ever, ever fix that. He will live with that for the rest of his life. No way around it, my man. Because of that, why would he lie now? Although he really could be lying, this could be a ploy to try to clean up his image and make people feel bad for him. I don't really see why he would do that now. I don't see the point in it. I don't think it would make sense for him to do this. The whole point of this video is for us to see whether or not Chris Brown is really as bad as the media and Rihanna had painted him to be. If we take his recent telling and interview as face value, now, he could be a good liar, but if you watch that interview, I'll link it down in the description. He wasn't hesitant. He didn't stutter. He had a very coherent and straightforward approach to his interview. He knew where he was going with it. It didn't seem like it was rehearsed or anything. He seemed very real. So I do personally believe him. You guys can believe whatever you want. I would never, ever go against someone else's opinion. I'm just giving you my opinion. I don't see the need for him to lie. It did not seem like he was lying. So if we take what he said at face value, they're both wrong. She is not any better than him. Rihanna did messed up things, physical things, just the same way that Chris Brown did. Now, again, I'll reiterate for the 5th time that it is not okay for him to hit her. But, she was scratching his CD. She threw the keys out of his car. He thought she was hitting him, smacking him. At some point, she grabbed him in his nuts. I mean, how much could he take? Now, he could have just walked away, but some people just don't react that way. So, not condoning his behavior, but I also can't say that he's the monster that he's been made out to be and that he was just assaulting and beating an innocent woman for no reason, because that's not what happened. He hit back after he was being assaulted by Rihanna. Just pointing it out, guys. I know I said it a bunch of times, but this is a big disclaimer. I'm not condoning any of this from either side. I just wanted to tell you guys that I don't think he is the monster that he was painted to be, and it's a shame because although he did mess up, now his life is ruined because of Rihanna and because of the media. Mind you, she went back to date him a couple years later, so obviously, like I said before, she was not as much of a victim as she initially made us to believe. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I want to know your opinions, your thoughts on this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Every subscriber helps me out. Peace.